In AD 79, a volcanic eruption buried an entire brothel beneath ash. Its rooms survived, its paintings survived, even messages left by its customers survived. Nearly 2,000 years later, we can still walk through it, and what we find feels surprisingly familiar. Most people assume ancient brothels belong to the world of legends, half history, half imagination. The Lupanar of Pompeii is different. It is real. Its walls still stand, its rooms still exist, and because of that, it offers one of the clearest glimpses into everyday life in the ancient Roman world. But to understand why this building matters, we need to go back even further. Long before Pompeii, prostitution had already become part of urban life. One of the earliest examples comes from Athens. Ancient sources credit the lawgiver Solon, who lived during the 6th century BC, with introducing a tax on prostitution. Some later accounts also connect his reforms to the creation of public brothels known as dicteria. According to tradition, women stood outside these establishments to attract customers. Historians debate some of the details, but the larger picture is clear. Something important had happened. Prostitution was no longer simply a private arrangement between individuals. It had become a business, a regulated business, one that governments could tax, monitor, and profit from. By the time Pompeii flourished centuries later, this world already existed. Then disaster struck. In AD 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted. Ash and volcanic debris buried the city. Thousands died. Entire streets vanished beneath the ground. And in one of history's strangest accidents, destruction became preservation. Pompeii froze in time. Among its bakeries, taverns, bathhouses, workshops, and homes stood a small 2-story building. Today we know it as the Lupanar, the most famous surviving brothel of the ancient world. At first glance, it looks surprisingly ordinary, and that is exactly what makes it interesting. Most people imagine ancient brothels as luxurious places, rich decorations, comfort, exotic surroundings. The Lupanar tells a different story. Its rooms are tiny, the beds are made of stone, the interiors feel cramped and practical, almost industrial. Nothing about the building suggests romance. Everything suggests efficiency. The goal was not comfort. The goal was turnover, a steady flow of customers, a steady flow of money, a steady flow of strangers. There is another question people immediately ask. How expensive was it? Surprisingly, historians have a rough idea. Ancient sources suggest that services in places like the Lupanar were often relatively inexpensive. A visit might cost only a few asses, small Roman bronze coins used in everyday transactions. To a wealthy Roman, the amount was trivial. To an ordinary laborer, it was affordable but not insignificant. That detail reveals something important. The Lupanar was not built for the elite. The wealthy had private villas, private parties, and more exclusive options. The Lupanar served ordinary customers. Travelers, workers, sailors, soldiers, people moving through the city. In many ways, it functioned less like an exclusive club and more like a business designed for volume. The brothel was not standing outside Roman society. It was woven directly into it. Yet the building contains another mystery. Above several doorways are erotic paintings. For years, historians have debated their purpose. Were they decorative? Were they advertisements? Or were they something like a visual menu for customers who spoke different languages? No one knows for certain. But the paintings reveal something fascinating. Long before billboards, websites, and social media, businesses were already competing for attention. Marketing did not begin in the modern world. It simply changed form. The deeper we look, the more familiar Pompeii begins to feel. Who visited the Lupanar? Merchants, travelers, sailors, soldiers, local residents, people moving through a crowded city filled with strangers. That detail matters, because small villages rarely create brothels. Cities do. Cities bring together people who have never met, people far from home, people carrying money, people who may never see one another again. The Lupanar was not just a product of desire, it was a product of urban life. But the most extraordinary discoveries were not found in the rooms, they were found on the walls. Graffiti, lots of it. Messages scratched by ordinary people nearly 2,000 years ago. Jokes, insults, boasts, names, comments. Some are crude, some are funny, some feel astonishingly modern. One inscription in particular has fascinated historians for decades. A man named Successus left a message on a wall. It was not a political statement, Not a religious prayer, not a business record. It was about a woman. The inscription reads, "Successus loves the innkeeper's slave girl Iris, but she does not care for him." Then something unexpected happened. Someone replied, and then another person joined the conversation. What survives is not merely graffiti, it is an argument, a public discussion written directly onto a wall. For a moment, the distance of 2,000 years disappears, because this is not what most people expect to find in Roman ruins. Not emperors, not battles, not great historical events, just ordinary people talking about relationships, the same things people post online every day. This may be the most valuable thing the Lupanar preserved. History usually records emperors, generals, politicians, the powerful. Ordinary people rarely leave a trace. Yet here they did. One visitor leaves a joke, another leaves a complaint, another boasts, another writes about heartbreak. Suddenly, the ancient world becomes crowded with real people. People who worried, people who flirted, people who argued, people who embarrassed themselves, people who sounded remarkably like us. Take a moment and imagine this. If someone discovered your comment history 2,000 years from now, what would they learn about our civilization? The walls of Pompeii ask exactly that question. And the answer is strangely comforting, because the people who lived there were not as different from us as we often imagine. Which brings us to the strangest realization of all. At first glance, the Lupanar seems like a story about sex. But the deeper we look, the less important sex becomes. The rooms reveal business. The prices reveal economics. The paintings reveal marketing. The customers reveal mobility. The graffiti reveal ordinary lives. The taxes reveal government involvement. Every layer points towards something larger. Not prostitution, civilization. The most surprising thing about the Lupanar is not that it was a brothel. Archaeologists expected to find evidence of prostitution. They did not expect to find such a vivid portrait of everyday life. The building preserves an industry. But more importantly, it preserves people. When Vesuvius buried Pompeii, it destroyed a city. Yet it also accidentally created one of history's greatest time capsules. The walls survived. The paintings survived. The graffiti survived. And through them, the voices of ordinary Romans survived too. Nearly 2,000 years later, they are still speaking. We just happen to be listening.